Welcome to Confessions with Cynthia, where we explore careers, relationships, and lifestyles of Homo sapiens.
Hello, I'm your host Cynthia, and today's special guest has competed in Olympic weightlifting and recently ran an ultramarathon. Two contrasting physical activities, but impressive nevertheless. Please welcome Cameron.
Thanks, Cynthia, for having me.
Thanks for joining us, Cameron. So tell us a bit about yourself and how you got into the industry.
Sure. So I'm a personal trainer and I'm from Sydney, Australia. Right now I live in London and I've been living there for a year. But it's good to be back in Sydney for a couple of weeks just to catch up with everyone, compete in weightlifting or Olympic weightlifting, depending on which the term you call it. But I do like to explore other physical interests as well, like, running, for example.
Yeah, absolutely. And welcome back to Sydney. It's great to have you. Was this something that you wanted to do from a young age?
No, definitely not. I thought I'd be going into either engineering or science, kind of what I was doing in school. And then, I had no idea that fitness or health was like, an industry where you can, firstly make money, but actually you can actually enjoy out of. So, and especially because I've never had any kind of coaching experience, it just, didn't really think that was going to be a possibility.
When you said that you didn't want to do science anymore and you delved into kind of fitness, what was the events that kind of solidified your choice in making that change in university?
Yeah, so I guess it all starts in 2015, and before then I was just playing team sports, basketball, soccer, were my main ones. But then in 2015 I had pneumonia and I lost a lot of weight. I took time off school. I was in hospital for I think 4 or 5 days, and at this point, I lost more weight than I guess realized, and couldn't play sport. Once I kind of got out of hospital, took a few more months until I can actually go back to my original capacity for my lungs. So to kind of get back into being stronger and fitter, I started strength training from home, and really kind of gave me the spark of okay, this is really cool. I kind of like working out. And so I just kept going from there. So my first goal was to be able to achieve a pull-up. And I did that. I was like, okay, cool. What's next? So I kept doing that. It wasn't really until straight after school, I did forensic science for 1 year at university and dropped out after that. And then just took a year off, just trying to figure out what I'm going to do. And then kind of realized hey, health and fitness, I really enjoy that. What can I do in that industry? And then found this new degree at UTS, sport and exercise management. So I had to wait until the following year to enroll. Once I started, this was during COVID actually, I realized that I don't want to wait another 3 years until I could start working in industry. So I decided personal training would be kind of the next step. And because I had more time during COVID, I was able to complete my certificate, get mentorship, and then do my degree alongside. And then in that first year, I was able to start actually working as a PT after that. So it gave me a chance to actually get experience while I was still at uni.
Amazing. And you did mention that you did play some sport back in high school before you got really unwell. What was the sport that you really enjoyed watching and playing during that time and even to today?
Yeah, so I never watched too much sport. I enjoy it if it's on, but it was never I had a favorite team or I had to support all the time. I just really enjoyed moving and just and the teamwork aspect too is very social. So in basketball, I played that for a long time, 13 years or so. Then I eventually didn't have the passion for it anymore. The more time I put in, the less I kind of got out of it.
No, I understand completely. And is that what kind of led you to explore different kinds of modes of fitness, and that's how you got into weightlifting?
Yes, definitely. Because all my sports, it was all teamwork. When I was going through this fitness route of professionally, I kind of just discovering other modes of fitness, what I could do. And then I saw weightlifting, and then this actually, I actually saw it more during the Tokyo Olympics when everyone's at home still. And I was like, that sounds really cool, or it looked really cool. I really want to try that. And then at the time, I just looked up weightlifting coaches near me, and it was one literally 5-minute walk down the road. I'm like, well, sweet, okay. Now, just once lockdown was over, I got on started.
Amazing. And I know that you worked really hard to get to where you are now. So tell me what it was like in the first year working as a professional personal trainer once you were certified.
Yeah, the challenges was to be able to have the confidence to sell myself. And fortunately, I was working with a company that dealt with the sales and all the marketing. So all I had to do was just perfect my craft, basically. But I still had to meet that person on a trial and then prove that I'm a qualified trainer that can really help you. So that took a bit of time to get that experience and have the confidence to sell myself, and then eventually get to the point where I was doing the sale from scratch. And just like, I guess, overcoming the perfectionism or the fear of like, why is this person going to listen to me? Like, this person's had much more life experience than me. Why do they trust me, sort of thing?
Yeah, absolutely. It's like putting the theory into practice is very different from when you're in a classroom, very comfortable with people that you've known and worked with. But it's good to see you kind of progress from that, because I remember meeting you for the first time at Activate ETS. You were very lovely, you were very supportive, and you were very down to earth, because you understood that everyone has a different fitness journey, and you made sure that everyone felt comfortable in the space with you. So yes, Cameron is an amazing person to talk to. So what are some funny stories you can tell us about during your first year as well, to build up that confidence, and any clients that you kind of helped along the way?
Yeah, so the first company I was working for, I was a freelancer, and I was mobile personal training, which worked great during COVID because all the gyms were closed, and then I could actually still drive around people's houses or the parks. And I had a Ford Focus hatchback, so it's quite small, but you'd be surprised how much equipment. Like, I invested a lot of money into adding more equipment. I had this barbell, and it will go from like the front seat all the way to the boot. And yeah, it's pretty cool just to like drive around, but then it got a bit tedious over time to constantly take out the equipment. And then after like 45 minutes or an hour, I put it back in. So that was really cool. But I got to, really drive around Sydney, and it was like, this is pretty cool. Like, I'm not getting paid for the travel aspect, but at least like I get to change my location, pretty often.
Wow, so the travel and getting all the dumbbells in was a bit of a workout in itself.
Well, yeah, I mean, like I got pretty strong, and I developed some like cool tricks to like carry weights efficiently, like trying to carry like 2 dumbbells in one hand, for example. It was, wow. I mean, it was pretty hard, but like...
No, that's very impressive. I don't think I could juggle 2 dumbbells in one hand, but definitely. And throughout your career, has there been any memorable moments that really stuck with you?
Not one in particular, but it's really cool when you see clients like stick it out, and when they do take your advice and actually put in the work outside that, and sometimes even do a bit more than what you expect. And it's like, wow, you've achieved such a really great result, even maybe more so that I would expect, but I would still like believe in a way. So the transformation that you see doesn't have to be just physical, but just like the way that they change their habits, their nutrition, their sleep, even their overall energy levels. Like, that is like really important for longevity. The aesthetic aspect is like obviously an important goal, but it doesn't have to be the one thing that everyone should be like worrying about.
Yeah, it's like the change of mindset from like a negative view of themselves to a positive view is something that you really enjoy.
Yeah, absolutely.
Amazing. And I know that with every career there's ups and downs. Was there any difficult moments that kind of helped you grow and you learned from during your journey? Yeah,
so personal training, it's because it's like you're self-employed basically, and that's kind of like my first experience in any sort of self-employment. So there's always going to be ups and downs in cash flow in business. And so Christmas time is kind of like where kind of like the danger zone is for PTs, because yeah, people take time off for Christmas, spend time with family, go on holidays, and then they will say that will come back, and then suddenly they don't for whatever reason. And so even if you do like the best that you can put in, but sometimes you have, say, one client drop off, and then another one drops off randomly the next week, and so forth. So yeah, you can't always like expect to have clients around forever. And you can do the best you can to try and maximize client retention, but it just sometimes things just are outside your control, and then you just have to just kind of double down in those moments. So, for example, like there was one point after a few years, I had suddenly like a few clients just like drop off, and it was really dry on leads. So then I went into full-time work, Activate. But then as soon as I signed that contract, my client base went back up again. So I was working like insane hours for both jobs, trying to juggle it all.
You know, that's really interesting. It's like you got the low tides and then you got the high tides. How was it for you as a personal trainer, seeing them change mentally and physically slowly over time, building that strength? What was that feeling for you?
It's amazing when you see someone who had a pain or an injury, and while I'm not a physio and know exactly what's going on, I was able to either work with physios with that, or just go through my own experience, because I'm always trying to upskill where I can, and to help them like to be able to move better. And like that's like a better feeling than trying to improve an aesthetic goal. When you see them start to actually go for walks up and down without any pain in the knees, for example, or they can finally deadlift, doesn't have to be the same weight, but just deadlift for the first time, and they've been worried about it the entire time for their back. it's like, that's really cool to see.
No, it's really good. And it's nice that you have the empathetic side of you as the personal trainer, seeing them grow, because it can be very daunting going into a gym for the first time and never having lifting weights or doing any physical activity that actually builds muscle. For me as a person, it was very daunting, but you made it very easy to kind of understand how to lift weights correctly, how to, take your time with the journey and not try to rush everything, because you can get injured more than anything else if you rush and not go through the proper steps. And with saying that, what are some fun facts you can tell us about being a personal trainer, about exercise that you want to share with the audience?
I think that a fun fact is that as a personal trainer, you're qualified in that fitness space, but then suddenly you become, just through experience, not an expert, but you become very good at other different things outside your scope of practice. So for example, like we joke in, I guess, our space that we're sometimes therapists in a way, because we have such a close bond with our clients eventually through time. And, over time they open up to you, sometimes without even like asking, but you're gonna be that person who's going to listen to them, understand what's going on through their head. And I mean, you can provide maybe some suggestions that's in your scope of practice. For example, like maybe instead of training a hard session, we can just go for a long walk instead. Those are some of the things that you can do. Obviously, the sales I talked about, you have to become a salesman. And then now with social media, you have to become very good at marketing as well. So there's all these different skills that you learn as a personal trainer on the job, basically. You don't get taught this in your certificate. I mean, maybe now, but unlikely.
Yeah, definitely. It's like you have to wear so many hats to be your own branding expert, selling yourself, but also like it's fun. It is true. Sometimes you talk to someone like a nail technician or like the hair salon, someone you see regularly, and it's that trust and that comfortability. They can say, oh yeah, this is what's happening with my life, and it's like really fun banter. So I really appreciate you telling us that. What are some of the tips that you'd give to someone that's starting their personal trainer journey today?
Yeah, I think don't be too overwhelmed with the amount of knowledge you have to know. Like you can niche down eventually if you really want to, but talking to, say, people who are looking to get in the industry now, they're quite, I guess, anxious to, I guess, sell themselves. But if you know what you're doing, like if you train yourself, like you're already like got some experience at seeing results. The next thing from there is actually be able to coach that to someone, because training yourself and then coaching that is a very different skill set, and especially coaching that with different cues for different people, because the people respond differently. And so for new personal trainers or people getting in, it's just simply just getting really comfortable talking to people. And it doesn't have to be always about training, but just talk about just life in general, having that one-on-one conversation of like, what's actually going on? Are you okay, for example? What are some of those things that you can do to, I guess, maybe provide that little joy in that moment, and maybe provide some advice if the conversation goes there.
Amazing. And is there a favorite mantra or quote that you like to share with us that you tell yourself when you're feeling a bit blue or feeling a bit down?
The quote comes to mind, which is my favorite from Ryan Holiday, and it's from like his Stoic series. And the quote goes along the lines of freedom requires discipline, discipline requires freedom. And I really like that, because to get the result you want in kind of anything, doesn't have to be fitness related. It can be, writing a book or in business, whatever. But it's about putting in the work and showing up every day. And that's discipline, doing it when you're unmotivated. And for me, for someone who likes to do a lot of things and I guess have the feeling of being free, it's about, okay, what are the things that's important to me and what can I do sort of every day consistently? And that's going to help me achieve this concept of freedom.
Very well said. Well, thank you again for joining us today and sharing part of your story with us. If you'd like to find out more about Cameron, you can follow him on his socials at Cameron Neale Fitness. The links will be available in the description. We look forward to seeing you in the next episode.